It's another ridiculous day in the world of Magic the Gathering. Wizards of the Coast is in full-on panic mode over the failure of the new Spider-Man set. Things are so bad, they're actively looking for scapegoats. Somebody's getting fired over this.
Magic. I am a wizard! History. I'm an old wizard! The magic historian. My bones hurt.
Greetings, owners of fine luxury cardboard rectangles, my friends. I hope the day finds you well because we have gathered for another glorious installment of Mega Magic News. This one's going to talk about the failure of the Spider-Man set, how it happened, and Wizards' insane reaction to this failure. Internally, this is a big deal for the company. And speaking of big deals, I have a big dental deal going on right now where my face was swollen up. It just started to calm down today. So if I seem a little more sweaty or angry than usual, that's why, friends. Now, before we dive into the badness, I want to talk about some goodness in the form of the silkiest, sweetest tokens I have ever seen. Want some of your own? Check out my sponsor. Take your Magic collection to the next level with ultra premium custom tokens. Zaximus Studios offers a wide range of gorgeous tokens that are visually striking, feel amazing to the touch, and you can use the backside to track both tapped and untapped tokens. They also have these amazing treasure tokens for when you really want to show off. Grab yours today using the code MYBONESHURT with the link pinned below. Alright, now let us talk about what's going down with Spider-Man. If you haven't heard already, which I'd be surprised if you haven't, this set is a massive failure. One of the biggest indicators of how bad things are is people dumping their collector booster box pre-orders back on Amazon. Wizards had gangbuster sales when it came to Final Fantasy. Before the set even released, they were trumpeting best-selling set ever, right? The collector booster boxes are still ticking up in value. So I don't even know where the limit for that is. And that had a knock-on effect causing people to go, I got to snatch up all the Edge of Eternity collector boosters. I got to pre-order all these different collector boosters. So the Spider-Man stuff got a ton of pre-orders. And then the information about the set started to come out. Packs started to get opened. And boom, they just started getting dumped to the point where Amazon's like, hey, you can buy collector booster boxes at MSRP right now. That is a disastrous indicator. And that's just one of the big ones you can point at and go, look, I can see that from outer space. But Wizards made a ton of mistakes with this set. Let's go over the laundry list of things they've done wrong, and then we'll talk about where they're actually trying to point the finger and what they're trying to blame when it's absolutely them, and they even know. They knew this was going to be a terrible set, which is why we got it when we did. But let's go into the details. So understand that I don't work at Wizards of the Coast. I do have inside sources who give me information, and I can kind of put everything together. So this is my best understanding of how things were going to go. And when you look at the facts, it feels very obvious that this is what's going down. So Wizards of the Coast had this brilliant idea for Aftermath where they said, what if we create a follow-up set that's meant to add on to the original set? And we'll tell them it's to add on to the story, but it's really to see if we can sell 5-card booster packs for crazy prices. So that product completely tanked. But Wizards of the Coast had actually thought it was such a fantastic idea that they were doing it for Thunder Junction. They were doing it for Assassin's Creed. There was all these sets where they went, we can just make a bunch of extra money by making these small sets and selling them on. But we all know what happened with Aftermath. It failed miserably to the point where Wizards scrambled. They had to take the Aftermath style set for Thunder Junction, cram it into Thunder Junction, so they had to sacrifice the set they were going to sell all on its own, which caused them big problems. Then they had to take the Assassin's Creed set, which was supposed to be that small, and make changes, but it was too far along in production to really have much of a change made to it, aside from trying to drop the price down a bit, right? So Spider-Man was created with the same concept. Here's what it appears to be. You know how we're getting that Marvel set next year, in about mid-year? It looks like we were going to get that Marvel set followed up directly by a small, teeny-weeny little Spider-Man set. I wonder how that would have gone. Obviously very badly, right? People aren't going to want to buy a Spider-Man 20, 50, 60 card set, whatever it was. When you look at the Spider-Man set, initially it was just supposed to be a, we've already given you all your Avengers and all the craziness. Here's a little bit of Spider-Man dessert, right? That's the concept. So now they know this is an absolute failure as a concept for a product. So they have to scramble and change the product. But these products take years and years. Final Fantasy took them like 5 years. They've probably been working on these Marvel sets since like 2020 or so. And they only had like one person working on these small little sets because they went, we just need one guy. Slap it together. It's no big deal. It's just a way for us to milk some more money from our dumb customers. So they turn around and go, oh no. Well, we can't put the Spider-Man set out right after the Marvel set. It's going to be terrible. We have to make the Spider-Man set into a full set. And we can't release this terrible Spider-Man set right after the Marvel set we put way more effort into because it's going to flop miserably. So what do we do? And they're like, oh, you know what we'll do? We'll take Lorwyn and we'll throw it off to the side. We'll throw it into next year. We'll grab the Spider-Man set and we'll yank it forwards and we'll just kind of toss it out there and let it get buried in the midst of things. Essentially what they did was Final Fantasy is such a banger and made so much money that we can slide Spider-Man in here and it can just go, okay, it didn't do that well, but look at all the money we made overall. We're doing great. Like, you have to understand that this is something that was touted. Spider-Man was touted to the shareholders. We'll get into that. But ultimately, I want to go through the problems first, right? So, meant to be a small set, it gets expanded. You've got the licensing issues, which means that you have to get permission from Marvel for every single thing you want to do. Every character you want to do, every pose, like everything. We're talking, you want to have Spider-Man lifting his knee up? You have to get that approval. There are Magic artists talking about how there wasn't enough time to make the artwork as good as it could be because of the amount of back and forth. They've got to send it to Wizards. Wizards has to send it to Marvel. Marvel has to send it back. And so even small changes took forever. And you end up with a situation where now they go, okay, we have to have this set like changed quickly. Before we get it printed, we've got to make a bunch of changes. We don't have the time to work out any licensing deals. So what did they do? They fattened up the Spider-Man set with pigeons with hot dogs on them, with bagels, with loving parents, rares that are like cheering fans. All these generically named cards that literally don't depict anything Marvel owns on them at all. Marvel can't tell us we can't have a bagel on a card, right? So you literally have a bunch of filler jammed in there. And then you've got people like Rosewater coming out and saying, the reason the Spider-Man set is bigger, bro, is because we realized there was just so much stuff we wanted to show you and we couldn't fit it all into the set. And then you go, hot dog pigeon, bagel and smear, guy in a chair, loving parents. What is this? Oh no, this is how we intended the set to be. And it's like, it's really well designed. We didn't change it at the last second. And it's definitely not abysmal for limited, which brings me to my next point. This is where they were like, we've developed like a 4-player draft where you pick 2 drafts and pick 2 cards. It's going to be amazing. It's for Spider-Man. It's the new thing. As they went, well, we need 4-player draft because they've blown it when it comes to drafts. They've absolutely blown it. You know when most drafts used to happen? After a standard event or after a modern event where you have a bunch of people playing and then it's like, okay, we're done. What do you guys want to do now? Yo, let's do a draft. We got a ton of people here. There's enough for multiple play. Do you guys do an 8-man draft? We'll do an 8-man draft over here. But Wizards of the Coast lean so hard into Commander that nobody's drafting anymore. They don't design for limited. They crank the prices. Nobody's going to play limited. So they go, well, we'll make pick two 4-people draft, which by the way is going horribly. If you didn't know, it's a 2-round event. You get to play 2 rounds at most. If there's an uneven amount of people, you're getting a bye. You're playing 1 round of Magic. It is a desperate attempt to go, Commander players, please play draft. So this is the limited stuff. Like, Spider-Man's not designed for limited. They literally have legendary commons. That's how you know it's not designed for limited. They had that as an uncommon, and they went, we have to change the set around. So now all of a sudden, things are uncommon, shifted down to commons like they should be, because the original scam behind those little small packs were like, check it out, there's no commons. It's only rares, mythic rares, and uncommons. It's like, the uncommons are the commons then. We're not idiots, okay? You didn't just get rid of the common rarity. You just renamed it. No, silver symbol, can't play in Pauper. We are not fools, Wizards, right? So it's deranged. I've listed the issues. So we talked about meant to be a small set, which caused a number of different issues. That led to the lack of variety as well, where this is a 200 and something card set, but because of the random you've got pigeons, you've got generic family members, none of those pull your attention, none of those pull your focus, none of those really exist to your brain. So the only thing that exists is like 15 different Spider-Mans. Here's Spider-Man from India. We put billowy pants and Converse shoes on him. It's just, it's like, what is this? So when you look at it and go, this was meant to be just a small little add-on for Marvel, but they knew, wait a minute, this isn't going to do well. Lob it over here. Then it makes way more sense. The design is completely uninspired. And the way that it's all coming together, it wasn't meant for standard. It's not designed for standard. It doesn't mesh into standard very well. Ultimately, what Wizards has been doing, specifically with like standard and everything, it's abysmal. It's insane, right? So you add on the fact that this is thematically jarring. And by that, I mean, when you look at the Spider-Man set, it doesn't fit into Magic at all. Final Fantasy dovetails in a bunch of ways. They got magic, airships and stuff. Yes, there is some higher tech stuff in Final Fantasy, but a lot of it is swords and sorcery level, fits in pretty decently with Magic, right? And Final Fantasy had a lot of effort put into the set design. The Marvel set, this Spider-Man set, is complete garbage, right? You look at it and it doesn't fit with Magic at all. It just stared at it. It's just kind of like this black hole. And this is the first thing that we've seen of this nature in standard. That's part of what makes it feel so weird. This isn't some side thing. This is now in the standard format that Wizards completely said, we don't care about standard anymore. Back in Eldraine, they went, we're doing fire design where we're going to make cards that are so broken that people will play them in Legacy and Vintage and all of this stuff. And it's like, and you're putting those cards straight into standard? Yup. You're going to break standard. Oh, no, it's totally going to be fine. Oko, oops, got to ban that. Fires of Invention, oops, got to ban that. You could see this stuff from a mile away. You knew it was going to be a problem, but they didn't care. They went, you know what? We're not trying to keep standard balanced anymore. We're pushing everything through standard. And then they went, everybody who's playing standard, come on Arena. And then when everybody came on Arena, they went, why is nobody buying standard boxes anymore? Why are you buying Capenna and stuff? And then they went, this stuff is about to rotate out of standard, and we're going to be stuck with it. Like, so they just changed the rotation to 3 years with no plans on how to make that work. And then went, it'll be weird for a while, but we promise we'll fix it. And now we're however long down the road. And guess what? They haven't fixed it at all. They went, we're going to make it worse. We're dumping Spider-Man into this. We're dumping all these Universe Beyond straight into standard, because when people buy cards, like, I want to be able to play them in all formats. And people are like, I can't play my cards in the standard format. Can you even find somewhere to play the standard format anymore? Wizards of the Coast has ruined all the playable formats, standard, modern. People are so sick of Wizards crap that they literally have created a format called pre-modern that Wizards can't mess with. And cards from that format are spiking like crazy because more and more people are getting into it because it delivers the original Magic experience and Wizards can't muck with it. So you got this scenario where they're shoving this high price point Spider-Man garbage straight on us, and it's failing miserably. So what do? They turn around and they start trying to blame content creators. In the newest survey that Wizards of the Coast put out, there are questions specifically asking what content creators, what influencers negatively influenced you in regards to buying this set. They have never asked that question before. This survey is hilarious. There are other questions in there too along the lines of, you still have more money to spend on Magic, right? You're not broke and don't have no money no more. You got more money for Magic, right? But the content creator one is amazing, where they're like, how, on a scale of, what is it, like 1 to 5, how negatively influenced were you by content creators? Now list them. And they want you to give like a list of the names of content creators that have negatively influenced you, right? It's just like, give us a list of names. Wizards of the Coast totally does maintain a list of people they will not work with, by the way, just so you know. Once upon a time, Wizards of the Coast employees actually followed me, would come to my live streams. I actually was sent product by Wizards in an attempt to get me to straighten up and fly right, where they go, yo, hey, if we give you this stuff, are you going to stop hammering on us for the negative things we're doing? And the answer was a resounding no. It was, hey, thanks for the secret layer, but I'll stop hammering on you guys when you start doing things right. That's the deal. All I'm doing is talking about what you guys are doing. So giving me some product ain't gonna silence me. If you notice, Wizards of the Coast has a ambassador program. It used to be called the Magic Creator Program, where do you make Magic content? Great, come on in. They changed it to the Magic Ambassador Program. You're now an ambassador for our game. By the way, you have to sign an NDA, and you will be given a contact at Wizards of the Coast who will be there to answer all your questions. They won't be there to answer your questions. They're there to hold your leash and kick you out of the program if you don't do exactly what you're told. So Wizards of the Coast very much wants to control content creators, but there's some of them they just can't. So they're turning around, and the reason they're asking questions like this on the survey, right? Part of it, you get a list of people to keep an eye on. But the bigger point is for your shareholders, where you can go, here's the reasons the Spider-Man set didn't sell. Because you have to understand, the shareholders are going to be very interested in knowing why this failed. So let me get this straight. Marvel, one of the biggest properties in the known universe, combined with Spider-Man, one of the most known Spider-Man is such a well-known superhero that even old, completely out-of-touch people, you could ask a 65-year-old, they're gonna know who Spider-Man is. Everybody knows who Spider-Man is. Hasbro touted this. They were like, yo, Spider-Man's gonna kill it, bro. We're gonna do it. And then it comes out, and it's just like, oh no, it's a bag of farts, right? And so they're just like, what do we do? Find out if they don't have money. Say, oh, it didn't sell well enough because they didn't have money. Oh, it didn't sell well enough because of negative sentiment from content creators. They are desperately looking for somebody to point the finger at because they can't say, we got greedy, made a terrible product. We are so unresponsive that even though we knew this was a terrible product about 1.5 years, 2 years in advance, there was no way to fix it because we wouldn't put in the money or the effort. So we dumped this garbage on people. People rightfully saw how awful it was and refused to buy it. They can't say that. Somebody at Wizards is going to get their job taken away. I can't feed my kids no more. So they got to lie. It's got to be my fault. Oh no, the Magic historian is why Spider-Man failed. If you make a good Magic set, there is no amount of online negative sentiment that can actually damage your product. Sorry, but that's how it works. Magic is an awesome game. If you make an awesome set, nobody's gonna listen if I go, hey, you got all these things wrong. They'll be like, no, bro, this set is awesome. You're out of your mind. Wizards is doing it right. But guess what? I get pretty much no pushback on any of the things I'm saying because all I'm doing is echoing the sentiment of the regular everyday Magic player. Spider-Man felt very, very wonky. Trying to pretend that we're the problem when ultimately this was a lazy, slapped together, greedy product. It's really bad for Wizards of the Coast that this is their first Marvel product, right? Remember that. They are doing, 6 Marvel sets? Some absurd amount of Marvel sets for the next couple of years. And they went from Final Fantasy, giant muscle man, mega sales. We took all the money in the world to Spider-Man laying on the floor. Get up! You didn't feed me, Papa. Shut up and get the money. That's the level they're at. And so oh no, this is what we said. Marvel's gonna come running in the door. And it's why Spider-Man crying on the floor, bro? Well, the content creator said mean things to him. I think you didn't feed him with any of the money, right? No, that's not it. So ultimately, they took a big swing with the Aftermath concept to the point where they bolted it on for multiple years. Do you guys remember when Thunder Junction came out? That was when they took the Aftermath big score and jammed it in. They knew before then that this was a failure of a concept, and this was their solution. So They basically stapled a bunch of garbage together, crossed their fingers, and went, please, please, please let this work. And when it did, and they went, this is the first Marvel set. We've said we're doing Marvel for the next few years. The shareholders are going to be angry. We need something to hold up and point at it. That they just didn't have enough money. Oh, it's the mean content creators. It's definitely not the actual cause, which is us. Even creating a brand new draft format to try and support this set wasn't enough. Think about that. They literally had to create a new format, and it still failed. This is basically a big black mark on Wizards of the Coast's history that will stick around forever, right? There's no way that Spider-Man is not going to be one of the big low points in Universe Beyond. Fingers crossed. I mean, it could get much, much worse. But I'm getting much, much sweatier, and my jaw is starting to throb a bit. So thanks for coming and hanging out and hear what I have to say, my friends. Big shout out to my channel members and patrons for supporting what I do here. And I will see you all, my friends, in the next video.